We get desensitized with a kind of desensitization that leads to what we've called flatlining. And that is, we go through life, just kind of flatlining it out, really more or less desensitized to our own feelings, more or less desensitized to what's going on around us. And it's very easy to get just moving on, going on. A lot of people get to midlife or to some point in life, usually around midlife, where they look and they say, oh my God, all I'm doing is living my life. I'm going through my life, doing everything I think I'm supposed to be doing, and I don't have altogether that much time left. I don't have all that altogether. Kids are going to be gone pretty soon, and it's just going to be my wife and I, or my partner and I, or my spouse and I, my significant other. We're going to be standing around looking at each other, wondering what to do with ourselves when everything that we've been so involved and so busy doing is already done. Change always gives us two signals. It always heads us in two directions, and you're going to find that in yourself, and you're going to find it with your clients. Change always means two things that are unnerving in a lot of ways. This wanting business that is unnerving. And to sort of summarize it, we've talked a lot about it's going to create detachment, that getting in touch with what we want is inevitably going to mean detaching. There are things that aren't going to fit anymore. There are things that are not going to come along for the ride in the new direction or in the new change. But it's easier for us to do detachment. Spirituality, some spiritualities, like as we've talked about, like to talk a lot about this, detachment and not having desire and not, doing all that kind of thing, so you aren't bothered with this, which is really not very human. It's really not about what humans are made for. We're made for this contrast, and we're made for this desire, and we're made to want, because it's the way our developmental stages unfold. So the larger part of the issue, hopefully though, is finding out what it is we want to attach to. That wanting and change is dicey, because we're defining what we want to attach to, and what we want to attach to in a strong enough way that as we grow towards that attachment, the detachment becomes easier and easier and easier. Now, that's not so easy when the detachment is a relationship, for example. When what you're really wanting, you begin to realize, is that I really don't want this relationship anymore, or I really don't want to live in this house anymore, or I don't want to live in this city, or I don't want to have this job, or I don't want to do all of these things. And of course, we never trust those right away until we know how to stay in an up spiral, until we know how to apply strengths to those things. We just don't out and out begin to believe that those are necessarily the case in anybody's life when they begin to tell us. But hopefully, we're moving into these dimensions where we begin to attach more and more and more to those things it is that we want, to define them and to be able to attach to them, so that the detachment is just sort of happens as a result of the direction in which we're moving. Probably, if we were really honest with ourselves, there's a lot of things that we have detached from that we haven't really been honest about. This is one of the things that you're going to notice about clients, is that they'll talk about a lot of things that they're involved in, but they talk about it with somebody else's voice. They talk about it with a voice that isn't their own. They talk about things that are happening and things that are going on, and I call it the language of detachment, because these are not things they're really attached to. They're not things that are really, they sound important and they sound significant, but the detachment from them has really taken place a long time ago. The detaching has already gone on. They're going through the motions of giving something significance or of giving something meaning because they should, because it's something that ought to be. It's the way things ought to be. We really are amazing salesmen. We are amazing salespeople for the status quo. We are incredible at being salespeople for the status quo, for convincing ourselves that the status quo is really where it's at and really what it is that we want. It would be one thing if we could be grateful for the status quo, if we could exist in gratitude for, this is the status quo, this is the way things are, this is the way my life is, I'm very grateful for that, and at the same time be clear about what it is that I want. That's sort of the secret of moving, is to be able to be grateful for the status quo, to know gratitude in that, but to be very clear about what it is I want and where I want to go and what it is that I want to do.